Hi there, knife people, hello lady and gentlemen. We're here by this body of water with some sisal rope and 3 Spyderco knives with 3 different steels. MagnaCut, LC200N, and believe it or not, H2. I finally got one in that steel. And recently did a corrosion test on all these knives and then some. If you haven't seen that video, please do watch it. So I got some sisal rope, and I know I made a promise a while ago to never repeat a sisal rope cutting test because sisal rope doesn't really dull knives, as I found out making a video about a couple of fixed blades. Sisal rope doesn't really dull the knives, but what you cut on, the surface you're on, that's what makes a huge difference. Even Ada and Cedric, who perfected the sisal rope test to determine edge retention on knives, even he admits that a lot of edge retention depends on the cutting board that he's using.
A test is not only seeing how it goes through the fibery stuff, but it is also then hitting a board, having those little twisty motions against a bit of wood, which is testing the toughness of the steel as well.
But I accept his tests because that variable is fixed. He's always using the same cutting board and the same sisal rope. So yeah, so what I'm going to do today is not really a test. It's going to be a demonstration because I'm going to take that sisal rope, I'm going to get it nice wet and silty as if it was coming off your kayak, and then I'm going to abuse these knives by cutting this rope on that log that I'll show you in a minute. That's been waterlogged for decades, at least it looks like it has been, and it has embedded sand silt silica stuff in it. So that should be brutal on the knife. I don't call it a test because none of these variables are controlled. I don't know the moisture content or silica content in the rope. Neither does she, my assistant here. So all I can do is demonstrate, and let's take it from here. And here's the log. It's going to serve as a seat and a working surface for me during the filming of this video. I'm going to start with this brand new Salt 2 H2 blade. I picked the serrated blade from the store because that's what Spyderco is saying. H2 steel is ideal for making a serrated edge because somehow it work hardens in the area of serrations. Here you go, take a listen to one of Eric Glesser's interviews.
Would it give the user benefit MagnaCut over H2 in terms of edge retention?
It will.
Yeah.
Well, not. This is funny too. It does in plain edge, but not in serrated.
Oh.
Because H2, is a very unique chemistry, and it's fabricated and shaped and formed very uniquely. You're able to get the serrations harder than the plain edge with H2. But when it comes to MagnaCut, plain edge will perform better, but not for the serrated.
I demonstrated in several videos on my channel that LC200N, H2, and MagnaCut in Spyderco's rendition, when integrated into a knife as a component in that system, develop approximately equal amounts of corrosion deposits. And now I'd like to find out if industry's claims about their wear resistance are correct. All 3 knives you will see today have unmodified factory edges. And that's why I'm putting them under the microscope before I start cutting. I wanted you to have the sort of baseline for comparison with how it would look after the cutting test, which is coming shortly. And here's something I have not seen on other serrated edges. The tips of the serrations are stropped, polished, shiny. Flipping it over on the serrated side, look how deep the striations are inside those serrations. Almost as if
Instead of grinding, they pressed or rolled the serrations in. This theory is kind of supported by Eric's statement you heard a minute ago. I worked as a machinist for about 7 years and then 5 more as an industrial engineer, so machine shop operations are no mystery to me. There are only so many ways to reshape steel, and I believe this edge was made by either rolling, pressing, or stamping. It actually makes a lot of sense because H2 is austenitic work hardenable steel, meaning you can harden it better by compressing it on a molecular level than by heat treating it. And that is the most exciting part of making this video to me. I have 3 completely different steels. They manufactured in such different manners and represent such different steel making technologies that to find them used by one company in making similar knives, it's just very exciting to me as a reviewer. Okay, the grind on this Salt 2 LC200 is traditional Spyderco grind. It's very flat, it's very consistent. This striation count per inch tells me they're using their traditional grit size media, which is about 400 count. What is different about LC200N? This steel is created using pressurized electroslag remelting process, PESR for short. This is a common European metallurgical process, and it exists to create higher purity alloys than regular ingot forming. In this process, the ingot is remelted in a pressurized chamber and the impurities are eliminated. And I haven't mentioned it before, but the corrosion usually forms around those included impurities. This constant strive for delivering best possible blades is Spyderco's signature, but they are mass produced and quality issues may occur. And this MagnaCut blade on the Para 3 is not an exclusion. Let me wipe the blade so I can show you. I noticed that when I was shooting this corrosion resistance video. Let's look at the edge. So a really nice grind here, no complaints, except you'll see here in a second this. There's a small roll in the apex. Because this knife is brand new and has not been used for anything whatsoever, that could only have come from the factory. And my Para 2 had kind of similar issues. So it's a slippery slope for Spyderco if they don't tighten the quality control. It's actually, I think it's handling, how they handle the blades at the factory needs to be looked into. They need to make absolutely sure that once the apex is ground, it doesn't touch anything at all until the knife leaves the factory. It cannot touch the walls of the bins it sits in, other blades, etc. That can be done in a mass production environment. Just watch my video about Kershaw Launch 20, a knife that is a living example of how to do everything right. All right, with sisal rope in hand, and it is still wet sisal rope, let's start our cutting demonstration. I am not calling it a test because I don't control variables here. I don't have a cutting board of known properties, and I have no idea how much sand and silt ended up trapped inside the fibers of this rope. Oh, by the way, this is not how the serrated blades are intended to be used. I'll show that in a few minutes. I'll just say that no one in a right mind would be using a serrated blade as you see here in real world, simply because it's not intended to be slicing cucumbers on a cutting board. It is designed to cut through fisherman's net if you are trapped in it while scuba diving. The intended purpose of a knife is my favorite topic. Most reviewers talk about knives from their perspective, how they would use it, instead of focusing on how the knife was intended to be used. I completed 50 cuts and my wrist hurts because the ergonomics of this knife, again, it's not designed to do that. So the ergonomics is just not there to support this style cutting. And speaking of that, this next Salt 2 LC200 has a worn clip, a pure or puristic
Wharncliffe blade, meaning it's done right, completely straight line edge and very, very sharp tip. This type of the geometry is intended for thrusting, penetrating fibrous materials, and reverse cuts and precision cuts with the tip down when you're doing arts and crafts. And the knife is letting me know that it's very hard to hold on to it and cut flatly like so. My finger phalanx, they keep hitting the log. Very, very uncomfortable experience. And this blade starts to dull rather quickly. I have to kind of force it down. And after about 3 dozen cuts, I need to use sewing motion to cut all the way through the rope. Wow. That sucked. Again, not a reflection on the knife, just the method that I used is not what's intended for this blade shape. Before I start cutting with the next knife, which is Para 3 MagnaCut, I'd like to remind you that in a previous video I tested its hardness and it came out smack on 62.5 HRC. The first knife Spyderco released with a MagnaCut blade was Native 5 Salt. That blade was running on the softer side. Mine measured somewhere around 59.5 to 61. Later they changed the heat treat process to bring it up to the 62 to 63 range, which, from what I read in Dr. Loren Thomas' articles, actually reduces the corrosion resistance ever so slightly, bringing it into the range of CPM 20 CV. All right, let's get back to this Paramilitary 2 MagnaCut. This blade is also getting dull with every cut, and I'm starting to feel it. If you saw in the beginning, it just laser beamed through the rope, but now after several dozen cuts, I am starting to struggle cutting through on a single pass. But I will complete the 50 cuts because I want to be comparing apples to apples when I put these knives back under the microscope. It should be 50. Okay. To see just what type of damage I inflicted on these edges. We're going in the same order, starting with the Salt 2 H2 serrated blade. I am pleasantly surprised there is no damage to the apex, or not much damage anyway. You can't see any chipping, rolling. The edge, the apex held up quite well here. Even though the sand embedded in this rope and in the log were acting as sandpaper. As you can see, the mirror sort of strapping polish at the point is gone, and the blade picked up a few scratches on the primary grind as well. And on the opposite side of the blade, you can clearly see that the shape of these points, serrated points, has not changed, but there is some kind of metal removal occurring. To be honest with you, I don't see anything I wouldn't be able to strop out. And when I talk about the style of cutting this knife is designed to do, here's what I'm trying to convey. This is how you would normally cut through the rope. You would not place it on a cutting board or on some kind of hard surface. This is how you would get through the rope in the field if you needed to cut a line for your boat, if you needed to rescue yourself out of the netting. Let's take a look how this LC200N performed. You can see pretty much the same type of damage from sanding effects of the embedded sand, but the apex does not look horrible. There's a little bit of round off, and small amount of chipping, nothing extraordinary, which means the factory angle is perfectly selected. And it also means that I can easily tune it up by running maybe a 600 grit stone on my fixed angle sharpener at home. And definitely you can see the apex rounding off or its radius increasing, but again, very, very easy fix. Let's see how well it will cut the rope. Here I catch myself cheating a little bit. You saw that it didn't cut in the area where I was actually previously slicing that sisal rope. And then I brought it back toward the handle where the blade was still sharp, and then it cut fine. Let's just say that the performance of non-serrated blade was not as good as a serrated blade, independent of the metal. And now let's take a look at the Para 3. Let's see how that improved MagnaCut held up. I was putting a lot of pressure toward the tip, and it was my concern, but the tip looks great. Fantastic, actually. Very good surprise here. And the rest of the blade doesn't look too bad. It looks and feels like, you know, they left a little bit of burr from the factory to begin with. And all that my cutting did was push that burr around a little bit. And I see a couple small areas where the burr came off, tore off, and took a little bit more metal with it than I would prefer, like right here. But again, an easy fix, a 600 grit will take it right back to the factory quality edge, or better. It cut pretty well, although cut number 1 and number 3, I feel like I was cheating just a little bit again. But cut number 2 right there shows that it cuts great, even in the area where I was doing most of my slicing before. Here I'm trying the serrated blade on Salt 2 H2 again, just to see, you know, subjectively sort of compare how much force it takes to cut. And because of how deep those serrations are, it definitely takes a little more force to get the edge in, but it cuts in any serration, starting even in the middle or even toward the tip. LC200N perform a little bit worse than the other two knives in the edge retention. I'm sorry, I shouldn't call it edge retention, not even wear resistance, abuse resistance. It performed a little worse in the abuse resistance department than the other two. So clearly making knife handles yellow makes the knife cut better. And I'm glad I decided to take a second look under the microscope at this edge, because now I clearly see how the burr was rolled to one side. And that's the key here. As far as comparing the three steels, to be honest with you, I don't see enough difference to recommend you one way or the other, or the third way. So if you already have a Salt series knife, it is very likely that it's a great performer, and you really don't need another one. Basically, I can add my independent, unaffiliated voice to the responses that Eric Glesser has already given to some of your questions in his frequent interviews.
You're still doing the LC200 and the MagnaCut. When would you pick a MagnaCut? When would you pick an LC200N?
Ooh, right now I think one of the first things I would look at is color, because we did designate the color, and some people want to look at one color over the other. As far as corrosion resistance, they're incredibly similar. As far as edge retention, they're incredibly similar. I really don't want to pit one against the other as far as which one's better on edge retention and corrosion resistance. They're pretty close.
By now, ladies and gentlemen, you've seen me test every Salt series steel, H1, H2, LC200, and MagnaCut,
in my corrosion resistance tests. And today's non-scientific demonstration also shows that they resist abuse equally well. So here's my recommendation to you. If salt resistance is most important to you, pick the knife with fewest number of components. And if EDC properties are more important to you, pick the knife with the best ergonomics.